holy pump Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up massively in just the past day. I was looking at Bitcoin and even just yesterday, so let me just see this crazy pump. So Bitcoin on just the 17th, well, even shoot, just yesterday, it was under $65,000. And a lot of the sentiment was that, hey, we're entering into August. Bitcoin has to clear some resistance levels. It's right at the 20-week or 200-week moving average or whatever. And I may be wrong on the exact technical there. Go look it up there. This video is more commentary, but anyways, it was right at this this moving average, and that the consensus was, hey, we're in the last phase of the bear cycle of the 4-year cycle as well. And so likely Bitcoin will break down below that level. And then, well, what happened was the White House came out, said a bunch of pro-crypto stuff. Hey, which I think Trump said we're going to be buying a lot of Bitcoin. I think we did see that the Fed was going to be doing some buybacks. And so they're doubling the amount of treasuries they're going to be buying back. I think it was from like 2 billion to 4 billion, something like that. So a lot of positive announcement came out right at this key level, and we saw a massive short squeeze that just I was looking at the price in the morning. I was actually seeing a lot of influencer chatter coming online, people saying, hey, I'm going to start entering into positions now, dollar cost averaging in. We looked at, we're at a level that unless something major happens, we probably won't get a big flush down into the 30s, which a lot of people thought was going to happen. Myself kind of included. I thought that it had potential. That was kind of what the numbers said, that if we did have that flush out, that's what it would be. But we would need to have certain catalysts push us there in the bear market. And I also said in previous videos you've been following along that, it's one of those situations that if everyone thinks something's going to happen, sometimes it doesn't quite get there. So it doesn't quite make it all the way to those levels, doesn't play out exactly. Now, with all that said, we had this massive short squeeze. Bitcoin's up, just incredible. I think it's right now at $77,589. I think it pushed up, let me see here, the high to over $79,000. Crazy to have it do that in a day. And I think this was like one of I read that this was one of the top 5 largest liquidation events in history. So massive, massive move here. But the word of caution here that you need to take away is that when you do have these massive moves, when it goes up really fast, things can come down. We still are at the end of that bear market, our typical 4-year cycle. There is still plenty of time for Bitcoin to get rejected from some of these levels and to trail back down and then have a major catalyst. Really the major catalyst would have to be something with the stock market, something big there happening to really draw it down. If we do get something like that, well, that could be a catalyst for pushing Bitcoin down to its final bear market low, whether it's in the in the 50s to 40s or 30s. That really depends on a lot of the sentiment and a lot of the leverage that gets built up in those positions. But that is looking like it's less and less likely, but not completely off the table. So you proceed with caution here. But what you're going to see in the market, what you're seeing right now, is you see Bitcoin exploding up, ETH is exploding up. Right, a lot of that because they're larger coins. People can actually take a lot of short positions there. So we had this short squeeze. So they're going and harvesting that liquidity. Pretty wild to see it run up to 79. It needs to sustain these levels and have weekly closes above these key points. A lot of people are talking about how Bitcoin is still in this downtrend until it breaks out of $90,000 above $90,000. Pretty wild that is the commentary. So should you rush in and buy? Obviously, this isn't financial advice. Look, if you have a thesis on Bitcoin that it is going to last, it is going to survive all the craziness of the government restrictions, of AI and quantum and all that kind of stuff. If it can survive that, it's likely going much, much higher, even in the next bull cycle, which this could be the start of, and even into the future, which I hope. I hope that Bitcoin does and continues to perform well and continues to demonstrate that it is a global asset class and it's here to stay. I've said this before in videos that it's not going to win by US rolling out the red carpet for it. It's going to win by being consistently challenged and attacked from every which angle and proving that it deserves the spot it has. And I'm rooting for Bitcoin. I'm rooting for it there. And so I know a lot of people hate on Bitcoin because of, it controlling the market and all this kind of stuff, but I'm rooting for Bitcoin to win there. I think it's better for everyone, better for crypto, better for the world to have an asset like Bitcoin that people can confidently invest in, put their money in, store wealth, store value there. I think it's better for everyone if that type of thing works. But of course, it will have to evolve and adjust over time, and people's strategies will have to adjust over time. I mean, just look at the incident with the Coldcard hack. Terrible that happened. And hopefully they're able to catch the people that did that. More and more of that kind of stuff is happening in the future. And so it's very, very important that if you're looking at crypto right now, that you get educated on where we're at in the cycle, right? Where we are. That's very, very important. The 4-year cycle is not dead, that we are at the end and there's still room to hit those previous cycle bottoms before the end of the year. Again, projections were hitting a bottom around October. There's still room based on the data to hit it into the end of the year. So that's November and December. So paying attention to what goes on there, understanding how these cycles move, understanding that coins that were exciting last cycle won't necessarily all be exciting this cycle. There are these narrative waves, there are these liquidity waves. Right now you're seeing the larger coins, Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, Solana, right? The top 10 to 20 coins, they move first in these markets, right? Liquidity can flow in there because you have people that have taken their money from further out on the risk curve on altcoins, small projects, things like that. They've either moved it out into stables or they've moved it into things like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those things pump, those go up in price, those create more liquidity, people take profits. They still want to remain in the ecosystem because things are still moving, still bullish. Then they'll start moving further out the risk curve to meme coins, to other projects like that. But you have to understand some of these cycles. So that is all very, very important. And then you have to understand the differences between, hot wallets, cold wallets, exchanges, different wallet vendors, all of that for protecting and securing your funds. That's very, very important during these times, especially as the technology is rapidly advancing. You need to be up to date on that. It's part of the deal. It's part of what's going on. And then, of course, I didn't even mention it, but the Clarity Act still hasn't passed. So there's a lot of regulatory frameworks that need to come into play. And that will be a big catalyst for a lot of other projects and their growth is the regulation that either allows them to operate or allows U.S. consumers and customers to actually get access to them. So Hyperliquid is an example of this. There's other ones out there that basically you can't fully utilize them or fully engage with the protocol as a U.S. citizen because of some of the regulations. And so regulatory clarity could be a major catalyst this cycle for projects experiencing massive growth, massive attention, massive liquidity. So paying attention to the regulations and what types of projects that they impact and what projects exist and are positioned well to capitalize on that. And of course, exchange listings are always things. So being able to see projects and what liquidity they have access to is very important there. So you're always looking for the catalyst and the narratives that will drive the movement in these projects. Other things to think about is, again, we're not out of the woods yet. If you're up a ton in things, hey, don't be afraid to take profits. Just make that your goal and mission. Hey, don't be afraid to take profits. If you're thinking about if you should take profits, take some profits. Okay, that doesn't mean you have to sell all the asset. Doesn't mean you have to fully exit your position or anything like that. But take profits. Things is just keep in mind taxes and all that kind of stuff based on your jurisdiction here. But a lot of exciting times. It's always cool to see Bitcoin make massive moves up, and it'd be very exciting to see the market get hot again and to experience another bull cycle with this, which I think is going to be pretty wild. But the ride's going to be crazy no matter what. So make sure you stay informed, stay educated, stay up to date. Don't get emotional, and then have strategies and plans in place so that you can follow through and you can capitalize on the wave versus be capsized by the wave. So that's it for this one. Follow along, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.